The ECB has cancelled the joint tours of the men's and women's sides to Pakistan next month. It follows a move by New Zealand cricket to abandon their matches in the country on Friday on security grounds. But as Patrick Geary now reports, the ECB have said England's withdrawal is to best protect the mental and physical well-being of the players.
In Pakistan, wherever and whenever they can, people play cricket. The problem is getting visitors to come and join in. It's just got much tougher. As New Zealand were on their way home, having cancelled a tour over security concerns last week, now England announced they won't be playing scheduled men's and women's matches, their first games in the country in 16 years. The England and Wales Cricket Board said in a statement, "We know there are increasing concerns about travelling to the region and believe that going ahead will add further pressure to a playing group who've already coped with a long period of operating in restricted COVID environments. There is the added complexity for our men's T20 squad. We believe that touring under these conditions will not be ideal preparation for the T20 World Cup, where performing well remains a top priority." It's now more than 12 years since the Sri Lankan team bus was attacked by terrorists in Lahore. Pakistan were forced to play international matches in the Middle East. Getting cricket back has been a national crusade, flanked by troops guaranteed by governments. After Pakistan agreed to play in England when the UK was at the centre of the coronavirus pandemic last summer, the ECB agreed to return the favour. But now a huge moment for Pakistani cricket is off.
I'm extremely disappointed. So are the fans, actually, because right now we needed England because it's a small cricket fraternity that we have. And so in such times, we were expecting England to just be a little bit more responsive and responsible, I guess.
These setbacks come after so much progress. The security situation in Pakistan is generally thought to have improved, and other teams have visited. Hosting international cricket matches could show the world how things have changed. That's why this hurts.
It cannot be easily put into words what a big disappointment it is for the board, for the Pakistani government, even for the Pakistani fans who have been, really looking forward to it. It's something which is, I cannot overstate the importance of needing to have England and New Zealand team coming in and giving the confidence for future tours.
England say they're still planning to travel to Pakistan next year, but after the week they've had, those in Pakistani cricket may believe that when they see it on the pitch. Patrick Geary, BBC News.
Well, we can get more on this now. We're joined by the BBC's cricket correspondent, Jonathan Agnew, who's with us tonight. Good evening, Jonathan. I suppose perhaps no surprise then that England have made this decision, but it's that wording of the statement and this not being because of security reasons.
Yes, and that's the big difference, of course. I think we did expect this news. I think when New Zealand withdrew, quoting this security threat, a very specific security threat that they didn't share with Pakistan, and it has created a bit of a rift between the two. But I'd imagine that certainly England's cricketers, the players themselves, would not have been happy with the situation. But it's interesting that the board has chosen not to go down that route. And that piece that was on a few moments ago was correct. These two games, that's all they are for the men's game, and there were some women's games at the same time. But these two men's games specifically were added on, like a sort of a thank you, if you like, for Pakistan coming last year, which was a magnanimous gesture. You remember the times here, it was really in the depth of the pandemic, there were no crowds. Pakistan came and played, and English cricket was very grateful to them for that. They did take on these two matches. People thought at the time, how are they going to fit these in? And there's so much conversation about schedules, of course. And I think that you add all of those things together, the players not being happy about going there, and you have to be honest and say that the situation in Afghanistan has created more concern and more caution in that part of the world now. The fact that it had to be in a bio bubble, the fact that security would have been stifling, even for those 3 or 4 days they were going to be there, then on to the next bio bubble in the UAE and the World 2020, then on to another bio bubble and into Australia. And you can see, actually, from an employer's point of view, this is not a good situation for their employees, their players to be in. So that's why they've chosen this route to go down. It's more difficult for Pakistan to argue against that than this rather non-specified security threat that New Zealand employed.
And you talk about the goodwill of Pakistan to come here last summer when England needed to fill that financial black hole as a result of COVID. It's not being reciprocated in this instance then when Pakistan need England to travel there. So how justified are those frustrations that the Pakistan Cricket Board will be feeling this evening?
Well, they'll be justifiable because England did commit to these. They committed to them a year ago, and their feelings were high, and obviously they're very grateful for it. But as I said, those of us not directly involved were saying, how are they going to play these games? And they were literally going to fly into Pakistan for 3 days and then go on and play. And when you do go there and you play cricket, and particularly with the security situation, it would have been absolutely stifling, the security set up there. And so the board have taken the decision that, given that the players, I suspect, were quite windy anyway because of New Zealand pulling out, what happened to that security threat? Have our security people found this same threat? You can imagine all those sort of questions that would have been asked. And so it's along those lines that England have pulled the plug. I'm not surprised. It was a big commitment in the first place to go and play. It was done in those times of great gratitude by the board to Pakistan. Pakistan will be justifiably disappointed by what's happened.
Great to get your insight tonight. The BBC's cricket correspondent, Jonathan Agnew. Many thanks indeed for joining us on Sports Day. Okay.